Okay, we are with Dede Griesbauer, pro extraordinaire. Dede, so you had a rough year last year with some injuries that you were battling, but it's a new year, and we heard you started off your year with a training camp in Kona. So tell us what kind of training, what training was like out there for you.
Well, it's always awesome to go to Kona. I have been with the JD crew. This is the start of my second year. The first year didn't go quite according to plan with some injuries. But we set out for Kona in mid-February, and at the time I was coming off my most recent injury, and it probably would have been safe for me to start a bit of running in Kona, but we made the decision to be a little bit more conservative, and so I rode my bike everywhere for 2 weeks. I joked with Julie that if I was gonna run like Griesbauer, I better be able to bike like Dibs. So I did a ton of biking and some really great swimming. Really think I took my biking to another level, and I think it was good to be patient because I came back at the end of the camp and started running and am pain-free and on a good road back towards full training. So it was definitely worthwhile.
So you're injury free. So what do you think, looking back, what are you trying to avoid this year or work on so that those injuries don't come back?
Yeah, it was weird because through last year, I had a series of just a number of things that was sort of one after the other, and I would build up my running, and something new would pop up, and then I'd, miss a few weeks of running, and then, get back into running, and something else completely different would pop up, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. And when I had this most recent injury at the end of last year, beginning of this year, I did some work with my doctor. We did some blood tests and some really extensive and expensive tests, and found some pretty serious nutritional deficiencies. I've worked with a number of nutritionists over the years, and I think in theory I know what I'm supposed to do, but I've never been a foodie. I've never been motivated by food. I mean, my husband, thinks about his next meal halfway through his current meal, and I've just never been that way. And I always thought it was something I got away with, but clearly not. My body was pretty much catabolic, and so I've spent the last 6 weeks working with a new nutritionist who makes it ridiculously easy for me. I don't have to think. It's almost like my Training Peaks. When Julie puts my training in my Training Peaks, my nutritionist sends me, based on what my training is, sends me a menu of what to eat and when to eat, and it's got a grocery list, and it makes it super easy. So we're hoping that by improving my caloric intake and the variety of the calories that I'm eating, that a lot of these injuries will be at bay and we can move forward.
And speaking of moving forward, so what's kind of your plan now that you're able to run and you're injury free and pain free? What's kind of the race plan for you for the year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. Like, I'm excited to get out and race. There's only so much one can train without the carrot of a race in front of you. And so Ironman is really my best distance. And so while I'm super anxious to get back to a full Ironman, I think I need to be a little bit more patient and not force my run volume quite as quickly. So I think our plan is to start with some 70.3s through the late spring and summer, and probably wait. I mean, for me, Kona is off the table for this year in terms of racing. I'll be out there representing my sponsors. But in terms of racing, I'm just too far behind to make a realistic go of it at this point, in a healthy way. So I'll do some 70.3s through the late spring and summer and focus on trying to nail 2 solid fall and late season Ironmans.
Any idea what those Ironmans might be? Any thoughts?
I'm getting to the point in my career where I'm racing a little bit more selfishly. I know it's probably the smarter thing to do the bigger points races in terms of qualifying for Kona, and I would like to do that one more time. Whether or not that's possible, I don't know. But I also have a bucket list of some races. Unfortunately for me, Lanzarote was a big one, and I've always wanted to do Ironman Wales is another one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be prepared for Lanzarote and Wales. My brother-in-law is getting married on that weekend, so I'm not going to be able to hit that one either. So we're still sort of sorting that out. I want to go somewhere that excites me, a race that suits me. And so that's still sort of to be determined.
So tell us, speaking of, you said sponsors and stuff, but so you are a member of the inaugural pro team for Big Sexy Racing this year. So tell us what that's been like, and what made you kind of join the team after all these years of kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah, I've had some really great relationships with a lot of my sponsors for a really long time, and it just sort of happened at the end of this year. Saucony was really the thing that sort of released me from and opened up some options for me. I've been with Saucony for 11 years, I think, and they moved out of the sport and in a big way, and dropped a lot of their athletes. And I understand it's a business, and I understand it, and it wasn't done in a bad way, but it was done pretty late. And so I had kind of thought, well, who's going to pick me up? I'm 46 years old, and I don't have a long future ahead of me in the sport. And Chris and Erica McDonald obviously have been running the Big Sexy age group team for a number of years with great success. And Chris had said that he was trying to launch a pro team. And just sort of as, I was interested in how that was going to go, talked to him a little bit about what they were doing, and it wasn't for probably another month or two. He finally approached me and said, would you be interested? And I think it's great. I think a lot of sponsorship is sort of going the way of the team. There's a lot of teams popping up, and I think for whatever reason it's a good fit for a lot of the sponsors. In Big Sexy Racing's case, they have a hugely successful age group team, and to join it as a pro, for me at this stage of my career, there were sort of two big motivators. One, I want to see a future for pro triathletes, and I'm not sure what that future is, the way the sport is going, and so to see a new team pop up, I want to make sure it's successful, both from the perspective of Big Sexy Racing and from the perspective of all of their supporting sponsors, because I think pros deserve a role in this sport, and so to help to the extent that I can make it a successful endeavor for future athletes at the pro level was hugely inspiring. And the other thing is being a part of an age group team and having that connection. I think I've got a perspective as the oldest actively racing pro triathlete on the planet, that I've got something to give back, and being a part of a team that has such an extensive age group following sort of opens up that role for me that I can be a part of something bigger and contribute in a way that racing on your own doesn't really allow you to do as much.
Yeah. So speaking of, you have had such a long, amazing career. How and why do you think you've been able to stick it out this long and at this level, at this high of a level?
I love it. Like, I think at the end of the day, you have to love it. I love the process. I love the journey. I've got some great role models of women and now a couple of men, but in particularly Karen Smyers and Natasha Bodman, who raced with great success into their 40s. And seeing that inspires me. And I think if I can inspire someone to, who's in their 40s that would think there's no way I could run my first 5K. I mean, I'm trying to sort of push a barrier and do things that haven't been done before. We see Craig Alexander and Cam Brown also racing well into their 40s, and I think you have to be a bit smarter, and I've learned that the hard way the last year, but you have to be a bit smarter, but I think you can be every bit as successful, and it's exciting to me, and I still love it. So when I stop loving it, I think I'll reevaluate that, but knowing the level at which I'm training and the level that I've competed, certainly not in triathlon with some of my injuries, but winning a world title at the 12-hour time trial world champs proves that I still have the ability to compete at a very high level. And so as long as I'm still loving it, I'll keep doing it.
And what's one of your favorite workouts? Tell us. It can be swim, bike, or run. Just what's something when you see that on your training peaks, you're like, yes, I love this. I can't wait to do this. This is going to hurt, or this is going to be just a nice day, easier day?
Yeah,
What do you like?
I love the long stuff. When I was working with Karen Smyers as a coach, she was more of a minimalist, at least herself in terms of her training. She didn't like doing the long stuff, so she'd rather go short and hard and get bang for her buck. And certainly it worked for me. I had a tremendous, period of racing working with Karen. But I would always have this mad negotiation. There was a time trial series in Boston on Wednesday nights, and it was a 15K time trial, and it would appear on my schedule often, and I would always negotiate. I'm like, can't I I'll go do a 5-hour ride. I'd rather do a 5-hour ride than a 15K time trial. It's just, I think, how I'm wired. So I love the long stuff. I love the Saturday long ride. I love the Sunday long run. I've missed my Sunday long run with injury and really look forward to my first 2-hour run on a Sunday. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah. And since this is Colorado Triathlete, what are some of your favorite runs or rides in Colorado around Boulder or wherever to go train?
I think now that Big Thompson is one of my favorite rides. It's the nature of the climb. It's, that stretch of road, the new stretch of road is spectacular. I rode it early when it reopened last spring with hardly any traffic on it. A lot of the cyclists hadn't realized it was open yet, and so I love that. My favorite run, just the trails, anywhere on the trails. I'll head out the dirt road and sort of get lost in some of the trails, and not having a structure to it, I think is one of my favorite things about the sort of the long aerobic run. So all those beautiful places there's just so many places to bike and run. It's hard to choose just one.
Well, when you're doing all those long rides, especially, do you have like a favorite snack or special treat you give yourself these days when you're doing those 5 or 6 hour rides?
The crazy thing, I actually, now that I'm with Big Sexy, we're starting to work with F2C Nutrition. I haven't gotten my product yet, but I'm excited to test that out. And I will say, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, 12-hour time trial. I had a nutrition plan, but at the end of the day, and I believe this is true in Ironman racing, you've got to go with your gut. And after about hour 7 of the 12 hours, all my gut wanted was Swedish fish and Coke.
Well, it worked.
It worked.
Perfect. Well, we are going to sign off with Dede, the world champion time trialer, right? Yeah. And multiple champion, Ironman, Kona finisher, amazing, been around forever, and doesn't seem like she's going anywhere, so look out, folks. Thank you, Dede. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.